Hello, hello. Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to Sanctified Hoodoo. I am Ro, and I'm here for another lesson that I want to teach you guys. As promised, we are going to dive right into blood pacts and oaths. Okay, the blood pacts and oaths. Before we get started, as always, I speak under divine law. This message is not mine, it is governed, sealed, and delivered only to those lawfully assigned. All right, guys. So, in order to really teach you this rightly, I am going to, especially in the realm of sanctified hoodoo and biblical authority, you must understand what a blood pact is, okay, or oath. And that is blood pacts and oaths are spiritual agreements sealed by sacrifice, by intent, and by memory, okay? It binds two or more parties, whether that be human, ancestral, demonic, or divine, in a way that transcends time, unless it's broken by a higher law. All right. In this instance, we're talking about higher law as being divine law, God's law above all laws. There's nothing that's higher than the Most High God Yah. There's nothing that's higher than that. Okay. So, what this means when someone does this, it's opening a portal and an exchange is made. This is the oldest form of pact, okay? A blood pact is the oldest form of pact because the blood itself becomes a witness to the vow, which means it remembers, okay? And it's also important to remember, guys, even without literal blood, a blood oath can form if the words carry a strong soul force, like emotion, grief, or trauma. A covenant language, like I'll never leave you. If I die, I'll haunt you, or I'd give anything to save you. And words of revenge or sacrifice, meaning if someone says take me instead, or blood for blood, or I swear on my life, these all have the spiritual implications, all right, of making a pact, because words spoken in agony or words spoken in ecstasy are often interpreted by the spiritual realm as legal declarations. Let me say that again. Words spoken in agony or ecstasy are often interpreted by the spirit realm as legal declarations, which means this is a legal precedent, okay? The unseen realm hears what was said and it holds it accountable, okay? So it's going to hold it to an account. This is why a blood pact is not always a ritual. Sometimes it's a reaction with eternal consequences, all right? Because the blood will always speak for cursing or for cleansing. See Genesis 14 and Hebrews 12:24 for that. As I stated before, only a higher blood can break a lower one. This is where divine law overrides the demonic pacts that have been made. So, again, only a higher law, right? The reason why the occult loves blood pacts is because the blood is the highest currency in the spiritual realm. It speaks, it binds, and it seals. This is what blood does. That's why it was so important when Yeshua, aka Jesus, bore the sin of mankind up on the cross and shed his blood and died for us. That is the ultimate, all right? The ultimate. When in Genesis 4:10, it says, the voice of your brother's blood cries out to me from the ground. That's when Cain slew Abel, right? The blood is life. So much life that even though the blood was spilled on the ground, the voice cried out to God. Think about this for a minute. Think of all of the heinous acts that have happened, not just here, in America, where I'm at, but all around the world where things like this have happened. And just imagine the cries of the blood that is coming from the ground today, still to the throne of the Most High, which is why we have a lot of issues today. All right, so we'll go into that maybe another day, because that's a lot of info tied to that too. But the reason why blood pacts are so powerful, and why the occult loves to use them, or practitioners like to use them in love bonding, domination, and things like that, and women love to use it to bind themselves to a man, which I don't know why, through their menstrual cycle, is because there's power, there's access, and there's witness. Meaning the power is the life force. That's the life, what's in the blood. It's an access, which means spiritual gates open to the blood. Witness. The blood binds a contract in both heaven and hell. So, in short, blood is evidence. And once it's on the altar, it can't lie. Period. Okay? So when someone knowingly or unknowingly enters a blood pact, their soul is tied to that agreement. And their body can be used by the spirit behind it. And their descendants can inherit the consequences. So a lot of people are, in fact, walking around maybe with a spirit of poverty, lack, or some sort of mental thing, mental issues. And it may not be anything more than generational curse, something passed down through the bloodline due to a pact being made. This is why this is so dangerous, all right? Because if you think about it, the one thing that the occult loves, because they love this because it ensures long-lasting control, for one. Number two, it's access to your future generations. And number three, it's a legal claim that makes deliverance difficult unless it's broken by divine law. Trying to break this beyond divine law is simply someone treating the symptoms and not the problem. You're only treating the symptoms. You're not trying to dig out the root of the issue, okay, and dig it up and do away with it. In the occult practice, the blood pacts draws familiar spirits, monitoring spirits, territorial spirits, ancestors who were clean and unhealed, and demons who require a blood meal to stay bound to a person or place. This is why it's used in sacrifices, initiations, love spells, curses, and death work, because the blood just doesn't seal its summons. Okay, guys? That's why it's dangerous, because without the covering of God, it opens a door that cannot easily be closed. It permits spirits to follow, to torment, and to attach every time. And it gives the enemy legal access. Because even right now, as I'm speaking, Satan has access to the throne of God still to this day. If you read in your scripture, he is before the throne of God, accusing the saints day and night. That's why it's very important that you revoke and you unbind yourself from these things, okay? So this is why the blood of Yeshua, Jesus, is so final, because it it overrides the lesser covenants that have been made. Those lesser covenants made are those blood pacts, okay? The occult understands this better than, a lot of Christians, than most Christians do. And that's why they never mock the blood of Jesus directly, because even they know it ends contracts. Think about that. So look at it like this. Blood is the pen, spirit is the ink. What is written with blood becomes law unless it's overwritten by a higher covenant. Blood is the pen, the spirit is the ink. Whatever is written with blood becomes law unless overwritten by a higher covenant. That higher covenant is the Most High God. Okay? Speaking of this is why when women use their menstrual flow, it is bad, okay? Because a lot of women do this, and a lot of quote-unquote baby witches, people who start getting into the occult, they don't understand the ramifications of working with blood rituals. All right, these are very dangerous. They open a lot of dangerous doors, and you're setting yourself up for a very hard fall, a very hard life. Not only that, the person that you do this to, it opens doors for them as well. So, speaking directly to the women who work with menstrual flow, this is why you don't do it. This is why it's dangerous. To the men, pay attention, because I will be giving you a way to break this kind of pact towards the end of the video. I hope this video is no longer than 20 minutes. That's why I'm talking as fast as I can, but trying to be very informative. Pack as much information that I can in 30 minutes or less. So please pay attention. And I'm sorry if I'm talking fast and I'm very southern. I have a real drawl and a country twang, so pay attention. The reason why God forbids any type of intimacy during a woman's cycle, okay? Any type of relation, you know what I mean, during this time of a woman's month, as in Leviticus 18 and 19, it's not about hygiene, okay? It's about spiritual legality, covenant protection, and occult counterfeits. A woman's cycle, okay, it's part of her covenant cycle. It represents life that could have been. So when we have our flow and we don't produce a child doesn't come, our body, the lining of our uterus sheds. That is called the shedding of potential, the shedding of potential life. There is still life there, even though it's shedding away. It just so happens that there was no sperm to meet the egg to make a child, so therefore the egg breaks down and it is shed from the body, but you're still shedding life, all right? Not only that, but what happens every month is a monthly altar, ALTAR, reset in your womb, women, okay? To all my women. So when you have relations during this time, you're mingling a seed with shedding. And that can invite confusion in the spirit realm. And it's also seen as, it's also seen spiritually, that is, as desecrating the altar of reproduction. And I need y'all guys to understand that doing this can open unauthorized spiritual portals, because our wombs are gates. All right? And if it can open unauthorized spiritual portals, especially if unclean spirits are monitoring the woman, imagine what can attach. Couple that with the man that you are with that has themselves attachments or parasitic demonic attachments, okay? So a woman's cycle is a time of spiritual cleansing, not mingling. All right? It's very important to note as well, the occult uses a woman's cycle in rituals because it contains highly concentrated life energy. It marks a gate of transition from potential life to death of that cycle. So that means it can be used to bind, to summon, and to dominate, especially in SE, magic, love spells, and domination rites. Okay? So the enemy knows that a woman's cycle is already spiritually active. So if relations happens during this time, it's really creating a mixing of altars. This is why a lot of dark practitioners seek a woman's flow from others to work with because they understand its raw authority and exactly how strong it truly is. Okay? And Yah's law was never to shame the woman or to shame women at all. It was and is to protect the sanctity of a woman's womb. Because the womb is a throne room. It is a gate for the next generation. So having relations during this time, the veil is thinner, okay, for one, and two, the womb is open. So relations at this time defiles the purification process, spiritually as well as physically. In Ezekiel 22nd chapter and 10th verse, you're going to find that it equates sleeping with a woman who is on her cycle to exposing nakedness during uncleanliness. It's a perversion of sacred time. That's exactly what it is. Because it's not ordinary. A woman's flow is not ordinary. It's not like ordinary blood, okay? It is covenantal. It's covenantal, meaning it opens spiritual and physical gates improperly when done at this time of the month. So, Most High God Yah's law protects the woman and the man from contracting soul ties, unclean spirits or judgment, and even spiritual spouses, y'all. I can't make this up. So, it's very important here to understand this is not, something that you play around with, okay? When you defy the cycle, you mix the seed with sacrifice and you open gates that were never meant to be open. Period. Because in the spiritual realm, the mixture becomes a spiritual contract. And whether you mean to or not, you just offered your seed to an open gate. That's why the occult loves a woman's cycle so much. Because it's already charged. It's already highly charged. Again, it's already highly charged. It's powerful. Because the blood already speaks. And if it speaks outside of God's order, other spirits will answer. That's why you don't do it. That's why you don't put it in people's food. That's why you don't use it in love spells. You don't do love spells, period. All right? There is such a thing as free will, and God himself does not override our free will. What gives you the right to do that to someone else? Because it's going to backfire every time. And if you couple that by your cycle, all hell's fitting to break loose. You're breaking off hell in your own bloodline as well as the person you're trying to tether yourself to. Making them crazy. That is a spiritual I can't say the word, but you know what I mean. Grape. It's a spiritual grape. Take off the G, if you get what I'm saying. So, don't do this. Do not do this, okay? What women do when they put it in their food, men's food, or try to control someone, that's called crimson blood magic. And it's highly spiritually illegal. Okay? And it's illegal for a reason. First of all, it's just plain nasty. And it's like people need to understand you don't have the right to do that to someone else. You don't have the right. So, and you're creating not only a good setup for you, for it to backfire on you, because it's forbidden realm of spiritual practice rooted in the unlawful manipulation of blood. That's what it is. It's cloaked in seduction and power and healing, but in truth, it traffics in covenant theft, soul control, and ancestral entrapment. Please remember that. It's used to bind souls, especially in love or in happy time pacts. It summons ancestors or spirits through the bloodline portals, y'all. You're offering blood in exchange for favor, for access, for power, or prophecy, and it's going to turn out really bad. It's the way that people practice it. They think it's some sort of empowerment or womb awakening, divine feminine practice. But what it really does is it bypasses divine law and it invokes unclean spirits who traffic through the bloodline, the womb, or the dream realm, and all three. So the blood is a legal witness. Remember that when blood is spilled or offered without divine permission, it becomes a gate of access for monitoring spirits, generational curses, and false ancestors. When Leviticus 17:11 says the life of the flesh is in the blood, all right, then blood magic violates this truth by offering life to dead altars, creating covenants without covering, and reawakening ancient pacts the Most High already broke. Already broke. So in the crimson magic, the female womb is falsely treated as an altar, a gateway, or a throne. Falsely treated that way because it's without lawful sanctification. All right. This is where astral grape can come through. Dream attacks. It also will allow possession or oppression of future children, which is very important. And it will also entangle the woman in matriarchal curses disguised as healing. And when I say that, just know that what you're getting is like not what you think it is, okay? Because the spirits that answer are not of God. So blood magic often calls on the blood of grandmothers, the red river of the ancestors, the goddess within the womb, and etc. And these are counterfeit spirits that mimic the voice of matriarchs, okay, to gain entry. They are familiar spirits. They're not sanctified ancestors, and they do not serve the Most High. So under divine law, the blood belongs to God alone. Deuteronomy 12:23 tells you, you shall not eat the blood, for the blood is the life, and you shall not consume the life with the flesh. And in Hebrews 9:22, it says, without the shedding of blood, there is no remission of sin. Meaning, only one blood offering stands, and that's Yeshua, Jesus' blood. It's eternal, it's lawful, and it's final, and it overrides all other covenants. All other blood rites done for spiritual powers are counterfeit covenants that have to be done away with under the blood of Yeshua. So if you are engaged in something like this, you must repent and renounce it under divine law, not with fear, but with clarity, knowing that what you've done is wrong. And I know it's a trend, and people go off trends and what they see, and oh, I want power. This type of power comes with a price, and it comes with a high sacrifice that you don't want to have to pay that bill. Okay? You're going to have to renounce every use of blood for spiritual power outside of the covenant of the Most High, and revoke every crimson ritual, vow, altar, or invocation, known and unknown. Plain and simple. And you need to speak like, my womb is sealed, my blood is sanctified, my soul is reclaimed. Only the blood of Yeshua speaks for me now. That's the type of energy that you're going to have to come with. Okay? So you got to name a thing for what it is. You have to, if you've done this, you have to acknowledge that you've done the binding. You got to renounce it. You got to break the permission. You got to cut the cord. I mean, you got to do all this stuff, okay? So, I've been on here 26 minutes, so I don't want to go over 30 minutes. So, hopefully these last 4 minutes, I want to give you the ability to break these, and I'm going to tell you how this is broken, okay? If you, especially to my men, or even to the women listening, and men that you feel have gone through this type of thing, who have been unknowingly attached to a blood pact through crimson magic, where this person all of a sudden is going crazy, insane, they're obsessed about a person, they're still staying with someone who treats them bad. I mean, there's so many scenarios, right? If this person has loss of time, gaps in memory, things like that, these are telltale signs of somebody working magic, curses, or blood pact on somebody, okay? So, in order to effectively break this, you're going to have to do a fast, at least a 3-day fast. And the fast is to serve, because it weakens the flesh, it silences confusion, and it makes you spiritually sharp, as well as it is a sacrifice to the Most High God, showing I'm foregoing this because I need this, right? I'm fasting. I'm making the sacrifice of no food and seeking you totally and fully, because I need this contract under divine law cut. I need it removed. I'm bringing it to the throne. That's what this is saying, okay? You can do a water only fast, or water and fruit only, okay? No sugar, no relations, and no unnecessary conversations. You need to start praying your Psalms. Try Psalms 51, Isaiah 58 daily, Psalms 91, to break these things off of you. So this is for 3 days, okay? And while you're fasting, be sure to reiterate and do an affirmation. I cleanse my altar, spirit, body, and gate. That's your affirmation for all 3 days of fasting. Secondly, you're going to take a spiritual bath every single day. I know, but you need to do this, okay? You are going to need sea salt, because it's cleansing. You're either going to need hyssop or rosemary, one of the two, because it purges unclean spirits, okay? And you're going to need some lemon, a dash of lemon juice, and some white distilled vinegar. This is to cut the spiritual residue. You can add your consecrated oil, whatever that oil is infused with. It's up to you. It can be just straight up olive oil that's been consecrated to the Most High God and prayed over. Okay, put that in there. You're going to stir your bath. If you don't have the ability to take a bath, you can make a bowl, okay, with spring water, and add this in it, and you can wash off in the shower. Clean yourself in the shower first. Scrub your body head to toe before you do the spiritual bath, okay? So what you're going to do, you're going to combine all of that into a bowl or your bathtub, and you're going to speak this as you stir, okay, the water with all your ingredients in there. I bathe in the authority of the Most High. Every marriage not of God is annulled. Every chain hidden in water or dream is shattered now. Let this water be truth. Let this water be sword. Let every claim be revoked in Jesus' name. You're going to submerge, or you're going to pour the water over your head, over your body, your legs. You can scoop it up first and wash it. But when you get out, you're going to air dry. You're not going to towel dry. You're going to air dry. All right? The third, and you're going to do this every day along with your fast. Even if you have to do it every night. It needs to be done every day. The third thing you're going to do during this fast is you're going to drink a cleansing tea, okay, to seal the inner gate. This tea that I recommend, red clover. Red clover is a blood cleanser, for one. You can do Damiana or mother root, because it breaks soul ties and it strengthens your heart. I will tell you, mother root is extremely bitter. And so I'm going to give you a replacement of mother root or Damiana if you want something that's not as bitter. You can use something else, but I'll give that to you in just a minute. You're also this tea includes lemongrass, which is a purifier, and it calms spiritual disturbances. And honey, you're going to use honey to sweeten the renewed covenant with God. All right, so you're going to use red clover. You're going to use motherwort, and I'll give you other verbs in place of motherwort because it is extremely bitter. A lot of people have problems drinking it. Lemongrass and honey. And while you're sipping this, you're going to pray, I drink of the new covenant. Let no foreign vow rest in me. I receive the sweetness of sanctified belonging. I am claimed only by God. And you're going to speak this loud and clear. I divorce every spirit who calls itself my spouse. I renounce every blood pact, dream tie, vow, or ritual not sealed by God. I break all soul agreements in the name of Yeshua, aka Jesus. I belong to the Most High God Yah, and His covenant alone claims me. The blood of Jesus speaks for me. It speaks louder. The fifth thing you're going to do, you are going to seal it with fire or salt. Okay? You can drop some salt into a bowl of water while saying the gate is sealed, the body is sanctified, and the vow is void. And once you do that, if you want to get rid of the seal it with salt fire aspect part, after you drop the coarse salt in it and with the water and you speak over it, you can actually flush that down the toilet, okay? So let's go back to a replacement for motherwort. One of the things with motherwort, like I said, it is very bitter. So you can do, let's see, I had it written down. You can do Tulsi, Tulsi, which is also known as holy basil. You can do linden flower, Linden flower. You can use blue vervain, Vervain. So you can use those in place of the motherwort and Damiana. You can also, this is optional, you can add a pinch of cinnamon for warmth and a spiritual fire into your tea. So red clover for blood cleansing. We'll say Tulsi. You can do Tulsi, linden, blue vervain. And lemongrass and honey. So I'll put this, I guess, as a post. I'm 34 minutes, so I'm trying to hurry. I'll put this as a post on my page here, on my YouTube channel page. I'll make it a post of the tea that you need to drink, so that you'll have it there and you won't have to keep referring back to the video. So what you're doing with this process by fasting, spiritual baths every day, and drinking this tea a few times a day. I drink the tea 2 to 3 times a day while you recite, because you're rewriting, okay, the script. And since the enemy loves to mimic a ritual, when you use a fast, a bath, and a tea in a sanctified practice, you are stripping the access from familiar spirits, and you're actually restoring what was defiled with the menstrual cycle pact, and you're putting it back to holy use. Okay, it's not just a cleansing, it's deliverance through sanctified ritual and order. Okay, because the tea itself is an internal covenant reset, and so the tea works on the inner altar, meaning the stomach, the womb, and the spirit gate. So any pacts tied to a woman's flow often manifest like irregular bleeding, pain, feeling claimed inside, emotional trauma that repeats on a cycle. And so what the tea does, it flushes the blood memory, and it sweetens the new covenant with God, and it tells your body you are not owned by spirits or contracts or ancestral vows. Okay? That's why it's important. The spiritual bath is what breaks the physical and energetic residue. So, blood pacts often mark the body, especially the crimson magic ones. So a sanctified bath, it clears energetic stains left on the reproductive system and skin. It cleanses portals, meaning it cleanses your womb, your feet, your hands, and your neck. And it sends a sign to unclean spirits that the altar has been cleansed and sealed. So you might want to think of it as a rebaptizing the gate that was used in error. That's why you use the sea salt, the hyssop, or rosemary, one of the two. You don't have to use both, because the hyssop / rosemary, it purges the demonic touch, okay? And the fasting, when you fast, you remove the fuel from familiar spirits. You weaken the ties, like I said, of the carnal memory and the emotional tethering. So what you're doing, you're entering the courts of heaven in a cleansed, humble state where blood pacts can be legally overturned. In Isaiah 58:6, it says, "Is not this the fast that I have chosen? To loosen the bands of wickedness?" That's why we do it. So fasting severs internal permission where soul pacts hide. It says, "I no longer consent." Okay? Guys, that's 38 minutes. I'm over. Well, 8 minutes, I'm over. We're at 38 minutes. I'm going to close it here. If you have any questions to anything that is in this teaching video, please put it down below in the comments, and I will be happy to answer anything that you guys might have. And before I close, by the authority of divine law, I declare every unlawful covenant, known and unknown, broken. I revoke every blood tie not sealed by God, and I reclaim every birthright hidden by deception. The bloodline is washed. The gates are sealed. The curse is no longer lawful. This is spoken in righteousness and shall be enforced by heaven's fire. In Yeshua's name, amen. Sanctified Hoodoo out. Peace and blessings to you all.